thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to speak to you. And I have to say that the cooperation between ЯБЛОКА and Venstre in Norway has been very inspiring for us, and I hope that it will be tight in the year to come. The ideas we are battling in this conference is, I don't think that we find any final solution in combating them. They will always be there. They will always be a challenge for every democracy and every liberal soul in the world. But like I used to say to my party fellows, is that nothing that's important is easy. Nothing in life that's important is easy. And this is not easy either. I have to tell you a personal story about the 22nd of July in Norway. I was visiting a small town on the west coast of Norway, and about 3:30 that afternoon I got a call from my employees that informed that it has been some kind of explosion. I felt that my employees tried to explain to me that it hadn't been a bomb. It certainly was an accident. It was the kitchen in the government building, and they had many explanations that it shouldn't be a bomb. But we realized that it was a bomb. It was downtown Oslo at the office of the government, but it was also 1 block away from our office. And I used the first hour to find every employee, and I can show you the picture from our office. One of our employees was hurt. He was seated in this chair, I think that God told my Secretary General that everyone should go home 15 minutes before the blast. So nearly everyone went home. Only 2 was left at the office, and 1 was badly injured and 1 wasn't injured at all. So we was happy for that. But after a few hours, we also realized that we had lost 2 members. One working at the Ministry of Justice, that was very active in our youth organization, and we have lost a member just passing in the street, a few feet from the bomb. What happened in Oslo the first hours was right symbolized with the way my advisors explained to me that this was certainly not a bomb, it was an accident. It was an accident in the kitchen of the governmental building. Because what happened in the streets was pre-justice, and everyone has the explanation that this was Islamic fundamentalists. Some of the Muslims on the streets were bullied and treated very angry. Some were even thrown out of the bus. They wasn't allowed to ride the bus with Norwegians. Some of the Muslim congregations told their members to stay indoors, afraid for their safety. This really frightened us. I have to admit that my fear when I traveled back to Oslo that evening was that this has changed Norway forever, and for worst. But a couple hours later, the Prime Minister was on the television telling us that they have catched a man that was a white, male Norwegian, and everything changed. During that hours, we have been told the news from Utøya, the island outside Oslo, where the youth organization of the Social Democrats had their camp. Norway is a small country, even in political terms. So just a few days before this happened, I've been to a concert, met many youth from this youth organization, and they even treated me with a beer. And now I was frightened they were killed, and some of them was. And youth from my youth organization had all friends at Utøya Island. So we lost a lot of people that we knew very well, and we all was hit that day in that term. So what happened after we got the information that it was a white Norwegian male that has done all this? All the political parties came together. I think one of the strengths that it went well is that all political parties stood together against this. This is a picture from one of the press conferences we had together with the Prime Minister, with all the party leaders and the parliamentary leaders of the parties that are in government. 7 parties are in the Parliament of Norway. As you can see, we are many female leaders in Norwegian politics. And I think that the attitude from all the political parties and all the political leaders that we should stick together and fight this was a very important way of how the Norwegians tackled it. Also that the Prime Minister said that we should meet this with more openness and more democracy, not the other way around. And one of the pictures I have is that we went to the church together on Sunday, just 48 hours after it. Many of the youth from Utøya was there with us. Even though many of them are not members of the church, they went to the church. And when we got out in the street, it was filled with thousands of people. And then we thought, the cars was rolling up from the parliament. We wasn't sure that at that moment, we wasn't sure if he was alone or it would come other terror attacks. So the security forces really wanted to have high security around the politicians. But that on the stairs of that church, we decided to walk to the parliament. Not enter the cars, but walk to the parliament together, all political leaders of the country, through all the people. I guess the police didn't really love that idea, but it was important for Norway. And in Norway, we have a very close relationship between our politicians and people. I use the tram for work every day, even though I'm a party leader. And I realized that that was important for people. But that day, when I used the tram for work for about 2 weeks after, people come and hug me and say, "Oh, I'm so happy that you still use the tram with ordinary people, even though we meet these threats." So that was also an important thing. And the church became important in a way that it's usually not for Norwegians. Norwegians are not that religious. But the strange thing, I entered the church in Oslo in the night, one of these nights. And the first thing I saw on the first row in the church was 4 hijabs. So even for the Muslim community, the church became a good place to meet and a neutral place to meet for all people. One of the strongest moments after the terror attack was this funeral, one of the first funerals, with Bao, a girl that was shot at Utøya. She has grown up in Norway with the Muslim parents, but felt that she was both Muslim and Christian. She was both Norwegian and Arabic. She was between 2 cultures. And she had also a 2-culture funeral. She had the ceremony in a church with a priest. The priest carried the coffin outside the church. Then the imam waited, and the imam and the priest together went with the coffin to the burial place. And then the imam had the rest of the ceremony. So it was a joint ceremony with a Christian and a Muslim funeral. And it became a symbol of how people felt they should meet this kind of tragic events. And then the flowers came. It started on Facebook with someone saying, a girl that had her friends on Utøya said, "If one man can create that much evil, how much love can we create together?" And it started with a social revolution. No political leader did this. This was youth on the Facebook and on Twitter saying this. And then the roses start to appear in the city. Everywhere. Really everywhere. And on Monday, one said on Facebook, no, everyone bring a rose outside, then we meet in the streets and we take our streets back. Someone thought that some 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people might meet. The police gathered. This was only 3 days after they went. No police wanted this to happen. They have no control of what happened. You have to remember that Norway is a small country, and it lives about 500,000 people in Oslo, in sum. 150,000 came. It should be a parade through the city, but it was so many people they couldn't move. This is my two pictures, that's why they are not as perfect. They are from the balcony of the city hall. 150,000 people came in Oslo. In some Norway, in all the cities together, between 500 and 600,000 people went out to the streets with flower that day. And in Oslo it became funny because it wasn't enough roses. So people took their plants from their home, bringing with them, with orchids and everything they could find, because you should meet the threat with flowers. This is my favorite picture. It's the tram that can't go through because of the flower. It was flowered, trapped, became the new saying. Now I'm speaking all the way away from my script, of course. So, how should we, as liberal, meet this kind of event? How does it happen in Norway? How could we create a terrorist like that? Why was the attitude so different when the terrorist came from somewhere else, or we have created him ourselves? I think it's important to realize if you create a terrorist yourself, you have to take the responsibility. It's your product. It's Norwegian product. We can't blame anyone else that he became a terrorist. It was our fault. And what can we do? He felt that he was outside the society. He felt that his voice couldn't get through. He has joined political parties to try to get through, but didn't have any trust into the political system. I think the most important thing to combat terrorism is debate. It's the freedom of speech. It's the right to even say things we don't like, even say things we really hate people mean. But we have to meet all these opinions. We have to meet them in debate. I even done that on Twitter while I'm sitting here today, where people writing, why are white male attacked in the streets of Oslo because they are not Muslim? It's rubbish. So I have to meet it with arguments. And you have to meet it with arguments and knowledge. The history knowledge from the school is very important, because all these strange views of history also make very strange views about the world today. So the knowledge of history is very important. It's also important to have leaders that know how to treat differences and also meet people with respect, even if you don't respect their view. You have to meet people with respect. Yeah, I know. And I think that an important part of the Norwegian defense against terrorism is the open debate, even if we have to meet with views we don't like and opinions we don't like. Sorry that I spoke too long, but I think this was a view upon how we battle it and how we are going to battle it every day, because these views is among us and we have to battle them in a daily debate. Thank you.